I went to a place called the University of Detroit. Graduated there in 1962 with an engineering degree. While at school, I was in the ROTC, the Air Force ROTC program, and on graduation was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the Air Force and was able to go to flight school. After our first year completion of pilot training, we went to helicopter school in Reno, Nevada, where I learned to fly the CH-3C, which is about a 26-passenger helicopter. So our unit, with 12 different helicopters, H-3 helicopters, was split up. Half of them went early to Vietnam in an organization called the Jolly Greens. I later on went with my unit, which was a different mission. My unit's call sign was Pony Express. That's the call sign we used. And we were basically what's called a counterinsurgency mission in Vietnam, and most of our missions were secret and top secret flights. But when I left in November with my unit, November 1965. But there was a place called the Ho Chi Minh Trail, which was a trail from North Vietnam all the way down into South Vietnam and crossed through Laos. And there was a lot of activity by the communists bringing troops and all kinds of things down that trail. Very famous trail. Our mission, what it was secret at the time, was to drop indigenous people. This is 5 and 6 people someplace on the trail at different times so that they could observe what was going on and be able to report it in, so that that stuff that was coming down the trail on trucks could be destroyed by other units. And our mission was to drop them down, mostly in the evening, and if they ever got to where they were observed by the enemy and sought by the enemy, then we were supposed to go and pick them up. Tell you about one particular story that I still relive to this day. Everybody probably have had this kind of feeling when you meet somebody and you have an uneasy feeling about that person. Well, this particular leader that was introduced to me that I was going to fly a mission with was had a very uneasy feeling and didn't feel very comfortable with him. But anyway, on the particular mission that we had to fly with him, he had 6 young kids with backpacks, with M16s, with rations and everything. They were going to be out for 6 or 8 days observing things on the trail. Captain Sawat, I will never forget him, always wore a red beret, and he was Laotian. He could speak Laotian very, very well. Mm-hmm. We ended up picking up his team probably about 5 o'clock in the afternoon and drove him into northern Laos and made the drop. Sawat, as I told you before, I had a very uneasy feeling. They all disappeared into the woods, and then we went back to the base. We landed at the base and were unpacking things, unpacking our parachutes, and out rolled a hand grenade that had just a rubber band on it. It already had the pin pulled. So our suspicion was Sawat was the guy that did that and wasn't expecting that hand grenade to go off either in flight or shortly after we landed. It did not go off. It was just part of the job. Everybody knew that. But when we were there, everybody just wanted to do their job. They were all officers. They were all military people. They were all pilots. We were there to do a job to help the Vietnamese people and supposedly stop the threat of communism from going south into South Vietnam, which did not work. Probably one of the first wars that the United States has lost. I'll tell you one other thing, and I only heard from my wife probably 6 or 8 months ago. She was living in Detroit in an apartment with my daughter, and she always worried every single night when a car would come up and people would get out of the car. If it was one person that slammed the door, it was fine with her. She was easy. But if she heard 2 doors slam, could have been an indication that there were military people coming to her house to tell them that I'd been killed. Okay, that's what always bothered her every time she heard 2 doors. She never looked out the door. She just waited for a knock at the door, but it never came. Fortunately, I did come home.